The helicopter was already humming on the rooftop, keys in the console, rotors waiting like a heartbeat, and Chloe Kensington, black suit, heels like gavels, was pacing with her phone to her ear, carving up the morning air with orders. If she didn't make it to Skytech by 10:30, a multi-million-dollar contract would evaporate, and then the janitor set his mop against the wall and said, calmly, "I can fly it." Her assistants laughed, Chloe didn't, and before she could stop herself she smirked and said, "Fly this helicopter, and I'll marry you." Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a section. Chloe ran Kensington Aerospace, the company her father built from nothing. She'd inherited the boardroom, the reputation, the schedule that started at 4 a.m. and never really ended. Somewhere in the blur, she learned a rule she repeated to herself every morning. Never let emotion touch the cockpit, which worked just as well in mergers as it did in aircraft. She'd been engaged once. To a guy who bailed the day she took the CEO chair. After that, she stopped believing in we. Contracts, numbers, control, that was safe. This Skytech deal was the kind that moves a company from regional to national, old-school executives who wanted handshakes and eye contact. Traffic in Seattle is a gamble. The helicopter was the hedge, the pilot was scheduled, the timing was down to the minute. And then, at 8:45, the pilot called from the ER with a fractured wrist. Backups? Booked. Retainer? Out of town. Third option. License suspended. You could feel the rooftop go quiet. City roaring below, wind grabbing at hair and lapels. And into that silence walked Liam Walker with a mop bucket. Liam was one of those people you look past, because he teaches you how to look past. Him, gray uniform, quiet posture, exactly on time, exactly off shift. Tall, tired eyes. The type who eats a sandwich in the stairwell so he doesn't have to talk. No one knew he'd been Captain Liam Walker, U.S. Army, Black Hawk pilot with a chest full of ribbons, 2 tours, the kind of calm you only get from hovering over chaos. No one knew because he didn't tell them. His wife Sarah had died 3 years earlier in a wreck on a rainy highway outside Tacoma. Their son Finn arrived premature and fighting. Liam came home, tried to fly, couldn't step in a cockpit without hearing the last voicemail he ever got from his wife. He grabbed the first job that would let him disappear and still keep Finn close. Janitor. Nights when daycare fell through, the boy napped on a bench with a little notebook full of crayon helicopters. A few weeks earlier, Chloe had watched Liam through glass fix a jammed rotor mechanism on a training rig in under 10 minutes, hands moving with that soft precision you don't learn on YouTube. She'd dismissed it. Luck, muscle memory, whatever. Now he was on the roof, saying he could fly a Bell 407. Her senior assistant, Marianne, laughed. Jordan the logistics kid laughed, and Liam just didn't. He waited. Calm has its own gravitational pull if you pay attention. Chloe did. She slid him the left seat. He strapped in with the ease of muscle memory, touched the controls like greeting an old friend. The engine climbed from murmur to roar, rotors beating into rhythm, and when the skids came light, he feathered the lift like he was holding breath in his hands. Seattle slid away. Elliott Bay flashing to the left, corridors of air traffic like invisible lanes only he could see, and Chloe, who'd ordered entire divisions like chess pieces, found herself watching his hands instead of the skyline. No wasted motion, eyes moving across gauges and horizon, shoulders loose. You know what I mean? Mastery has a sound. It's quiet. 12 minutes later, he set them down on Skytech's pad, so soft the paper coffee cup didn't shiver. He killed the engine, unbuckled, and stepped out without looking for an applause line. Chloe stayed seated, trembling, not with fear, with the rude shock of having misread an entire human being. When she finally climbed out and asked, "Who are you?" he said, "Someone who used to matter," and walked away. The meeting was flawless. Signatures, congratulations, polite laughter. When she came back outside, the helicopter was gone, and so was he. That night in her office, she pulled his file. 8 months on janitorial staff, no prior work history listed, the kind of HR footprint people leave when they want to be wallpaper. Instinct nudged her. She called an old friend who owed her a favor and had access to military records. The answer came back like a slap. Captain, 2 tours, commendations, honorable discharge. Medal of Valor for pulling 6 soldiers out of a hot zone. He left when his wife died. Newborn son. No scandal. Just grief. After that, she started noticing him. Not the job, him. The way he checked Finn's forehead with the back of his hand. The way he ate in stairwells. The way he arrived and left to the minute. The way he avoided executives like they were landmines. Not ashamed, she realized. Protective. Quiet is a strategy, not a symptom. A week later, she stopped him in the lobby just before his shift ended. Finn was nodding off on Liam's shoulders. "I never thanked you," she said. He shrugged. "Just did what needed to be done." She told him she knew, now, who he'd been. For the first time, his eyes flickered. Resignation, not anger. "Then you know I'm not that person anymore." Finn woke enough to show her a crayon. "Helicopter. My dad's the best pilot in the world." Chloe felt something old and armored inside her crack. Skytech called again. They wanted a consultant to help design next-gen simulators. Real. Aviator, real experience. Remote, flexible, pays well. Chloe offered it to Liam. He said no. Not ungrateful, just no. "I don't need to be noticed. I just need Finn to be safe," he said, and headed for the door. She didn't chase him. She just said, "You can be both, a father and a pilot." He didn't answer, but his shoulders pulled tight as he left. Sometimes hesitation is the closest thing to yes, you can afford that day. Here's the twist I didn't see coming. They retired and far away. Father everyone thought was out of the picture. Roger Kensington, silver hair, broad shoulders. A voice like a stamped seal walked into Chloe's office without knocking. He knew about the rooftop, about the janitor, about the flight. "I will not watch you throw this family's name away for a broken soldier with a mop," he said, anger like cold steel. Chloe stood up and said, in the same calm voice Liam used on a roof, "Then I'll resign." Silence. Shock. The old general blinked first and stormed out. It shook her anyway. How quickly she'd put her entire identity on the table. That night, wandering the empty building the way you do when home feels smaller than your thoughts. Chloe heard a sound in the engineering wing, a child crying. Finn sat on the floor outside the dark simulation bay, knees to chest. "Where's your dad?" "Inside." Through the glass, Liam in a flight rig, head in his hands, shoulders shaking. He came out apologizing. She told him it was okay. He said he used to be in control. He told her about Afghanistan, the mission, the co-pilot who lived but didn't walk, the medal that felt like a debt he could never finish paying. He told her about leaving the army because he couldn't trust himself, then losing Sarah and trusting himself even less. "If I'm nobody, I can't fail anyone." Vulnerability is its own kind of bravery. She told him he was doing better than he thought. He didn't believe her. She touched his sleeve anyway. Skytech sent one more curveball, an invitation for a live precision flying demo at their global summit. In return, a full scholarship for Finn at a top school. Liam read the email 3 times. He showed Chloe. "What if I'm not ready? You flew me across a city without blinking," she said. "You're ready. Will you be there?" "Every second." He exhaled like a man surfacing and said okay. The airfield was all glass and concrete and cameras. Investors, engineers, press. Chloe put on a headset and stood on the flight line as ground support. First time she'd ever done that. And it felt right. Liam wore a borrowed flight suit that fit like memory, Finn beside him in kid-sized aviators gripping his hand. "You're the best pilot in the world," the boy said. Because of course he did. Liam kissed his forehead, climbed into the cockpit, and lifted off into a sky so clean it felt new. What followed wasn't flash, it was control. Hover exactly over a painted X, climb, pivot, thread an invisible corridor, settle back to a hover without a twitch. There's a kind of silence that falls over a crowd when they're watching a thing done exactly right. Finn jumped and shouted, "That's my dad." Chloe cried into her headset and didn't bother to hide it. When he sat down, the hangar erupted. Liam stepped out and Finn launched into his arms. For the first time in 3 years, his smile reached his eyes. That evening, a handwritten note slid under Chloe's door. "Roger, you were right. Any man who risks everything for his child deserves more respect than I gave him. I'm sorry." And proud. She sat on her couch and let herself cry a second time, softer. Life didn't turn into a postcard overnight, but it changed shape. Finn started at his new school, loved it. Liam took shifts with a nonprofit that taught underprivileged kids to fly simulators, because the sky should be for everyone. Chloe cut a quiet check to keep the program running. She didn't say a word, and he found out anyway because kids talk. Finn wrote an essay called My Hero, 3 pages in wobbly letters about his dad, with a paragraph about Miss Chloe, who helped my dad remember. A week later, sunset burning Seattle gold, Chloe found Liam back on the rooftop, wiping down the helicopter the way he used to wipe conference tables. Old habits, she teased. He grinned. She told him she hadn't meant the marriage line that day. He said he knew. She took a breath. What if I mean it now? He looked at her, really looked, and the quiet between them felt like the top of a climb when everything goes weightless for a beat. He knelt with a simple silver ring engraved with 2 small wings. I used to fly for my country, he said. Now I want to fly for 2 people, you and Finn, if you'll have me. She said yes. They lifted off together, Liam at the controls, Chloe beside him, Finn in back with his notebook, skimming past glass towers into a sky that didn't ask questions. Where to, he asked. Anywhere, she said, as long as we're together. Below, the city sprawled out like a promise. Above, a clean horizon. And somewhere between the wind and the rotors and the steady hum of a machine doing exactly what it was made to do, a different promise formed, the kind that makes you ask yourself, if you were in Chloe's shoes, in Liam's, what would you risk and what would you forgive to land the life you want? Your turn. Was Chloe right to trust him on that roof? Was Roger out of line? Does a second chance cancel a first failure? Drop your take on right and wrong, on what justice and loyalty really look like when they're not on paper, but in motion at 500 feet.